Jesus freak here. Now, I have a shirt with Micah 6:8 on it because it's a verse I particularly like. And so I mentioned this last time I was watching Laurel and Tyler Thompson's web stream. And, she starts and ends her streams with readings out of one of her Bibles. Oddly, she usually starts with her dad's old KJV, which I think may actually be a Thompson Chain reference. Although I haven't seen it up close enough to know. But it looks like a Thompson Chain. And I think she uses the NIV the rest of the time. But she's like, I like the old language. I'm like, you don't have to settle for an NIV just because it's the most popular translation. If you like the KJV, it's very much still easy to find. Of course, there's a problem that a lot of the publishers are American and she's Canadian. But since I think she's Maple MAGA, I don't think that's exactly a problem. Anyway, Micah 6:8 is a verse I particularly like because it's like, what does God really want? Isn't it to do righteously, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God? Mercy. I'm afraid my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy. Seems like the common American sentiment these days. With apologies to Schwarzenegger. So, it's getting a little warmer than usual today and tomorrow, but, we're having forecasted storms. I'm like, you win some, you lose some. So, some people they're talking about, and people talking about in the government levels, doing away with Social Security, and Elon Musk has called it a Ponzi scheme. I'm like, look, this is nothing new. I've had people around me call Social Security a Ponzi scheme for decades. Back when I was on welfare, about 2001, 2002. People were absolutely calling a Ponzi scheme then. Of course, we know why someone like Musk would want to, badmouth Social Security. He wants his hand in the pot. So, now what a lot of people don't realize is SSI is a separate program that just happens to have Social Security handling some of the administrative work. So, and I've mentioned, I think it was Rand Paul used to say, oh, it's just for people with anxiety and backaches. This is Social Security is basically a social retirement plan / disability insurance program. If you can't pay into it, you don't get it. And so someone like me gets SSI instead. That money, although it's dispersed by Social Security, actually comes from the Treasury. So when I hear about, the Doge Mafia, the Doge mob goes and raids the Treasury Department, and I'm like, uh-oh, here might go my monthly disability checks. And people don't understand why I'm saying that. But like I said, my disability checks come from the Treasury ultimately. It's just Social Security administers the program. But people are like, you're alarmist. Yeah, well, if you look at the Doge scheme, they talk about reducing government waste. You see, there's different definitions of government waste. For some people, pork barrel spending is government waste. For some people, though, anything social, socialist, they'll say, is waste. And these people, like I've said before, if you can't hack it in this world, they'll say, drop the meat bag and save us the oxygen. And this, frankly, is a common sentiment among political conservatives. And this is something I've had to deal with, that people think that just because I collect government checks because I'm unemployable, that I'm a mooch, and that I'm, stealing from America, and that I should just, drop the meat bag. So, if I'm concerned that a bunch of people who think that the programs that keep me alive, SNAP is another, because I've been on food stamps most of my adult life, that they're actually making their moves and not just talking about it. It's been a thing for decades, to talk about, we're going to ban abortion, we're going to ban this, we're going to ban that. And the Democrats do the same thing, saying we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and never get around to doing it because they're just trying to make sure they have the votes for the next election. And, both sides are doing this, but now they're actually doing things, Republicans are, because they're feeling empowered. And people wonder why I'm worried, when the things they've clearly said they want to do for decades, they're actually starting to do them. And those things could put me out on the street with no way to support myself because I can't get a job. And I'm like, I was raised with this mindset. That's how I grew up. And then I lived in the real world for a couple of years and had to be on welfare because nobody would hire me. And I'd pound the pavement for months, and I'd be lucky if I got one call back for, 50 attempts. most of the time that'd end up at nothing. And people these days are like, sucks to be you. It's just the world we live in, I guess. People are just cruel. And is it any wonder when I start seeing the same exact rhetoric that we've all been taught about from 1930s Germany, coming from high places in government, that someone who would fit in certain persecuted categories in 30s and 40s Germany would be worried. This whole waste of oxygen rhetoric. It's Action T4 is what it is. When they formalized it, this is why they stopped using the term Asperger's recently, because they realized that Hans Asperger was the guy who decided whether you go to a slave camp or you just got gassed if you were autistic. So it's like, you know what Santayana said about those who, if they forget the past? While they're doomed to repeat it, and I've added this, the rest of us are doomed to watch. That's why I'm worried. Anyway, Jesus freak out.